What's going on, everybody? Your main man Zera WoW here. Coming to give you guys yet another in-depth review. We're going to continue on with the Dish Priest. I meant to get these other two videos up last night, but something came up. Couldn't stream either, so yeah, we're getting into it right now. Alright, so here's the thing. Disc. We talked about this yesterday in the artifact weapon. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you hadn't checked that out, check the link below. Go check it out. It's real awesome. It's nice, really in-depth. Talks about how you can utilize the artifact weapon to your benefit, when and where you might want to use the artifact trait abilities, so on and so forth. Alright, so let's go ahead and just get into the Dish Priest talents. First row, you're going to come up here and you're going to find Schism, you're going to find Castigation, and then you're going to come over here and you're going to find Penitent. Alright, so the thing about these abilities is this literally gives you 3 ways to play it. Schism. So this is a 6-second cooldown, right? It attacks the enemy with Spell Surge, and it just... This is basically... I mean, it does decent damage. It's not great. It's kind of like an improved Smite kind of thing. But what it does is it increases all the damage you do by 30% for 6 seconds. Now, the thing is that this can help you push out a lot of healing through Atonement. The only problem is the 6-second duration. I mean, out of all the other classes that have ramp-up time, this is really nice because there's no ramp-up with this. It's just one spell, but having to cast it every 6 seconds really makes a lot of the Dish Priests go like, I don't know, I don't really want to do this. It's too much. It doesn't last long enough. I mean, if it lasted 8 or 9 seconds, maybe, but 6 seconds just because you got to stop every 2 or 3 casts and just push this on again. Whereas I personally like this just because I like to know when I need that damage to be there for Atonement, it will be there. I personally don't think this is something that you're going to be able to maintain like 100% uptime, but maybe closer to 70-75%. I mean, you can maintain it. I mean, if you play Disc for several months at a time and you get that rotation, you get your timing down and everything else, you know how to counter every single class, every single spec, know what to expect, so on and so forth, then you can do this. You can maintain 100% uptime, but it's just going to take a lot of practice. This is one of those abilities where it's really going to take a very conscientious mind to say, like, alright, here, now, this is how we're doing it, this is what we're going to do, boom, checklist, check, done. Alright, so if you're the kind of person that wants to be methodical and really know, like, when and where to use this, be my guest, man, go right ahead. This bad boy allows Penance to fire an additional additional bolt while channeling. So, you're channeling, and while you're doing that, guess what? You get 1 extra tick. But it's only for damage. This does not count towards your healing. This is just for damage. Because remember, unless you take Penitent, that's what Penitent does. It gives you an extra, allows you to heal with Penance. But now remember, we talked about the artifact trait. There's a 3-tier trait in there that allows you to increase the channel time of Penance by 15% up to 30% if you put enough relics in there. Add that extra tick from Penance into that. It's a lot of damage, bro. It's a lot of burst. I mean, it's not huge numbers. I mean, it's not you're going to be like one-shotting people. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying by big damage is I'm saying that the numbers are going to be moderately sized and they're going to come fast. I mean, you put an extra tick plus you reduce its channel time by 15 to 30%, you're going to get some big channels coming out, and quick too, which means that everything that's got Atonement is going to get the exact same through the healing side of the spectrum. So there's something to consider there about playing with Castigation. So now you've got Schism, which increases your damage output, and now you've got Castigation, which moderately gives you more damage with Penance, but also gives you a really nice little oomph with Atonement every 9 seconds, which is Penance cooldown. Penitent. This bad boy right here, this allows you again to heal with Penance. So the heal is really good. I mean, it's a really nice heal. I mean, it's almost 900% spell power, so it's pretty significant. It's on a 9-second cooldown. It's cheap. You can use it while channeling. It also gives you a 30% movement speed increase from the artifact weapon. So this isn't really a laughing matter. It's just you can take this and then you can go back and forth whether you want to heal directly or you want to do damage and to heal through Atonement. You can go back and forth on it and just alternate depending on what the situation brings your way. If you're that kind of Dish Priest, you want to be that kind of player, just use Penance on whatever the situation calls for. By all means, go right ahead. You can do that too. I mean, it's going to be awesome. It's going to give you a lot of variety when it comes to healing. So that's where Penitent really comes in handy. But I feel like more often than not, things like Castigation and Schism is going to be where you want to go. Schism more so for PvP, but Castigation, I feel like, regardless if it's PvP or PvE, you can't really go wrong with Castigation. And Penitent's nice for direct heal. Like, say, if you were, assigned to healing your main tank, then definitely take Penitent, because that heal will only help you keep the tank up. Level 30 tier. This bad boy is going to be your mobility. Well, Masochism is not exactly mobility, but it is probably going to be the all-time favorite. But we'll talk about Masochism when we get to it. For now, Angelic Feathers, this is an oldie favorite. Don't really need to cover this. 3 charges, 40% movement speed increase for 5 seconds, 3 charges, 20-second cooldown rather, and just, a lot of utility here because you can use this for yourself, you can use it for teammates, but I personally just, as nice as this is, I don't see how you can get past Masochism. That's just me. I mean, from a PvP perspective. I mean, PvE, yeah, you can use Angelic Feathers to maybe, avoid some AE damage in a raid content, or even Body and Soul. That way you can help everybody that gets your shield on them. But honestly, I just feel like Masochism is just going to be the overwhelming favorite. We'll get to that in a second. Our next one, Body and Soul. This one's going to allow your Power Word Shield or your Leap of Faith to increase the target's movement speed by 40% for 3 seconds. This is what we was just talking about with Angelic Feathers. Angelic Feathers, you got charges and so on and so forth. You're kind of limited on when and where you can place them. But this is going to come in handy with every target you throw shield on, or you have to Leap of Faith something out of danger. The only bad thing is about this is that it's only 3 seconds. I really wish this was more like 4 or 5. And it's only 40%. A lot of classes get even more than that with sprints and so on and so forth. But I understand with the fact that shield is like a 6-second cooldown, they didn't want you to maintain, a full 40% movement speed increase at all times. So it makes sense why they made this 3 seconds. Something to keep in mind too is if you take Rapture and it makes your Power Word Shield have no cooldown, you can keep this uptime at 100% on the target. So if you take Body and Soul, using conjunction with the 2-minute cooldown Rapture is going to be really nice. But like I said, both of these are going to be used for your mobility, which is nice, especially in PvP. But let's talk about why I like Masochism so much. Masochism allows to, when you cast Shadow Mend on yourself, you no longer take damage over time. So, or actually, it heals you. It doesn't just take damage over time, but it actually heals you. Alright, so, yeah, that's nice. So, now not only do you have a stupidly powerful single target heal, but now it applies a hot too in combat. So I don't really see how you can get away from that. When this is really nasty, if you think about it, you never have to worry about taking direct or damage over time from your Masochism. It actually heals you, so that buffs it immensely. I don't really understand why this is in the same row with, your mobility spells. I mean, this priest, literally, if you take Masochism, aside from your artifact trait, giving you, that 30% movement speed from penance while channeling, you got nothing, mobility-wise. It kind of sucks. But, I mean, if you consider the fade, damage reduction, your Power Word Barrier, your Power Word Shields, and if you take Clarity of Will, so on and so forth, there's a lot of options here that you can really reduce a lot of damage coming in. So I guess they just figured, hey, we don't have to worry about them taking a lot of damage, so we'll just, negate their mobility. But if you want to give up Masochism and take one of these, you're going to be fine. I don't think you're having any issues. I'm just saying having that hot in the heat of battle is going to be really nice to have. So, again, this tier is just going to be completely up to you. Level 45 row. Alright, so we're going to start with Shining Force. So this is essentially just knocked back with a 70% reduction in movement speed for 3 seconds. It's a 1-minute cooldown. Again, instant cast. Really just use this in maps where it's going to be useful. Arathi Basin, Twin Peaks, a couple of arena matches like maybe Blade's Edge, so on and so forth. Just so you could just knock people off ledges, knock people off the bridges, give yourself a gap opener, give yourself a chance to heal yourself back up, or maybe, regroup and get your CCs back off cooldown, so on and so forth. This would be a great place to use this. But I think a lot of people are going to really love Psychic Voice. Let's take a look at that. Psychic Voice. Alright, so this bad boy reduces the cooldown on Psychic Scream by 30 seconds. So it's a 1-minute cooldown baseline, making it a 30-second cooldown with this. Like I said, Shining Force is nice for where you're going to need knockbacks, so you can utilize them, you can take advantage of it. But I think most of the time, most PvPers are probably going to take a Psychic Voice. Now, for you PvEers, you're probably going to want to take Dominant Mind. Now, I know somebody out there is like, Zera, you've lost your mind, it's terrible, but let's look at it. So, now, you are able to control your own person while utilizing Mind Control. Now, granted, this turns Mind Control into a 3-minute cooldown. It can't be used against players, so using this in PvP is a no-go. Of course, I don't know why you'd want to use it anyway, because it's a 3-minute cooldown. It doesn't make any sense. So essentially what this does is in PvE you can take control of a mob and basically turns it into your own personal pet. I mean, when you're leveling, this can really come in handy. I mean, this would just be awesome. You can have, you know, them tank for you and you can heal them. It's really nice. So, I mean, just keep that in mind for you PvEers. If you actually want to level with this priest, you can actually do that. This would actually be viable. Alright, so next is Powered Soulless. I absolutely love this ability. Okay, let's read it. Strikes an enemy with heavenly power, dealing 300% spell power damage, and also replenishes 0.75% of your mana. Okay, so it's a 12-second cooldown, right? So it's basically a instant cast damage dealer. 12-second cooldown, so a moderately short cooldown, and it restores mana. So essentially, in a 30-second window, roughly about 36 seconds, you could actually replenish about 2% mana, a little over 2% mana, and it does good damage, instant cast. So that means instant cast atonement for everything, atonement healing. That would average out to be about 130, 150% spell power. So, I mean, this is just really nice. Really love this. Shield Discipline is also awesome, but I don't know. I feel like Shield Discipline is one of those ones that's probably going to benefit you more in PvE, because your shields are really like your bread and butter in PvE. I mean, you're just putting shields on everybody. Whereas in PvP, you're more concerned about actually DPSing and actually trying to get damage put out and spreading atonement around as fast as you can. But PvE, you can set up your shields a lot better, and not to mention the fact that it's more mana regeneration than Powered Soulless. But Powered Soulless is more damage. So you can pick and choose whichever one you want for PvE or PvP. But I just feel like Shield Discipline is going to be better for PvE, and let's see why. Alright, so Shield Discipline. When your Powered Shield is completely absorbed, it now replenishes 1% mana. So you got some options in this tree to replenish your mana. You can use the Mindbender, you can use Shield Discipline, you can use Powered Soulless. They all replenish mana in some sort of way. It's just that how you want to do it. Do you want to let your shields do it, or do you want to let your Powered Soulless do it? The fact that your shield is on a 6-second cooldown, this is why I said it'd be better in PvE. In PvP, there's going to be those chances where guys are not taking like a bulk of damage, like right there, like up front, because there's going to be kiting, there's going to be crowd control, there's going to be healing, there's going to be offsetting, and everything else. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Powered Souls would do better in those situations, whereas in Shield Discipline, you can put this on a main tank every 6 seconds off its cooldown, and boom, you're getting, like, if you got you got a skull or a raid boss or something, just, pounding on that main tank all day long, that's 1% mana every 6 seconds, almost guaranteed. Because that raid boss is just going to shred through that Powered Shield like it ain't nothing. So I just feel like this would be like your overwhelming favorite in PvE. I don't see how you could get away from Shield Discipline, honestly. Whereas in Powered Soulless in PvP would probably be better, because you can actually, spread your atonement, bam, get a quick Soulless off, and just keep rolling, just keep going. Don't have to stop the cast, don't have to do nothing, and you just keep rolling. Okay, so let's look at Mindbender. This bad boy replaces your Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend's a 3-minute cooldown, Mindbender is a 1-minute cooldown. But what Mindbender does is it aids you for 12 seconds and replenishes 0.75% of your mana every time it attacks a target. Okay, so now you're like, alright, so this is really, really nice. 1-minute cooldown, 12 seconds, you probably averaging about 5 or 6 hits, so that's maybe, close to 5 to 7% mana, really, roughly. So this can really be nice. There's just one problem that I have with it, is that this does not always feel viable, or not viable, but reliable. You know what I mean? Like, I summon this thing half the time, and it feels like it's like off in Lollyland. I mean, there's I mean, you guys know how pets can be. I mean, you summon it, and you're like, what are you doing? Dude, what are you doing? For real. Like, get over here, man. Dude, I don't care what's behind the bush. Oh, man, what are you doing to that rabbit, dude? Oh, man, it's PG, man. It's rated PG. We can't be showing that. Man, that's nasty. Come on, man, put that thing away. Okay, let's move on. Alright, so our next tier is going to be the level 75 tier. Alright, so this tier is just full of awesomeness. Okay? You cannot go wrong with any one of these. Actually, I take that back. There's one in here that's just kind of, yeah, but we'll get into that. Contrition. Alright, so Contrition is basically going to allow you to increase the duration of atonement by 2 seconds. Now, before everybody just like leaps on this, says, "Ah, this is awesome," let me remind you that you can easily reapply Atonement. It already lasts 15 seconds. That extra 2 seconds, I really don't feel is going to be huge. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. That 2 seconds can be the difference between having Atonement on, 10 targets and having Atonement on 15 targets. Seriously, it's that awesome. So again, up to you. I don't know. 2 seconds don't seem like very much. At least it doesn't feel like it's enough for me to say, hey, I'm going to pick that talent. Now, if it was more like 5 extra seconds, I'd be all over that. But, yeah. But also, remember this. This actually aids you, Contrition. This actually aids you in, like, having... Remember the trait in your artifact weapon that allowed you to increase your damage based on how many targets had Atonement? Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. This is the one. If you want to try and buff that as high as you can, get that 1% per Atonement, target with Atonement, take Contrition. That is a great combination. Can't go wrong. Power Infusion. Alright, so this is going to infuse you with power for 20 seconds, increasing your haste by 25%. Love this, love this, love this, because it also reduces the cost of all your mana spells by 20%. 20%. I love you. Mwah. So this is awesome. Okay, so like this is on a 2-minute cooldown too. You want to talk about this priest having a bunch of snap buttons. Power Word Barrier can be a 2-minute cooldown in PvP. Power Infusion can be a 2-minute cooldown. Well, it is a 2-minute cooldown. Rapture is a 2-minute cooldown. I mean, the amount of cooldowns that you have as a Disc Priest that you can just stagger back and forth, just go, and just have these evenly spaced out, maybe 30 seconds apart. It's a done deal, dude. It's a done deal. Take this talent. You cannot go wrong. Love this, love this, love this. Okay, Twist of Fate. So, after you heal a target below 35% health, you're going to increase your damage output by 20%. Alright, so basically, kind of thinking like this is the PvP or honor talents for a lot of healers. Like, there's an option where, like, if you're above 80% health, you heal for 20% more. Or if you heal a target below 50% health, you'll increase your haste by 20% for 5 seconds. This kind of works like that, except I cannot condone this. I just can't. If a target's below 35% health, you're already blowing major cooldowns to try to keep that target up. So, I would honestly say I would rather see something like, instead of Twist of Fate doing this, maybe increase it to 50 or 60%. I mean, something similar to what Cultivation does for Resto Druids. Because that feels like it would fit here. You know what I'm saying? But like 35%... as much burst as there is in the game, I'm talking about from a PvP perspective. In PvE, this could be really handy, especially if you took Schism and you stack these two together. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage. It's just, I feel like in a more PvP setting, this is not going to be viable, because if a target's below 35% health, I mean, you're knocking on the door of like people trying to burst it down to kill it. I mean, you're talking, almost an execution range. Gonna get stun light by Windwalker into a Fist of Fury, so on and so forth. I mean, people are going to be trying to just murder that target, so I just don't think this is really going to help you. I would much rather have Power Infusion to really aid you in preventing the target getting to 35% health altogether. So, like I said, it's up to your playstyle. I think Twist of Fate can have a really good place in PvE, but in PvP, I just don't see it working. Alright, so everybody's personal favorite, Clarity of Will. This ability is pretty awesome. I mean, it got nerfed a little bit because its damage absorption is not quite as high, I feel, as it was in Warlords. It still absorbs about 200,000 damage, so I mean, if you're in PvP, you got 2 million health, so that's about 10% of your health that gets, protected from damages incoming. But I just feel like with as much burst as there is in the game, Clarity of Will is not going to really help you a lot. I mean, but the fact that it has no cooldown and it is cheap is really helpful. So if you are in a place where you can make sure you're going to get peeled, for days on end, and you can just keep putting Clarity of Will up on a couple of targets, this is really nice to have. But I feel like Clarity of Will is going to be more for the PvE side. I mean, you can just maintain this on a main tank, and just, there you go. I really feel confident in saying this, that this priest could really be awesome main tank healers. Maintain Atonement on the tank. Maintain, Atonement, Shadow Word Pain, Purge of the Wicked, whatever you're going to put on your target, and then just all you got to do, Clarity of Will, Powered Shield, and then you can use Penitent to directly heal the main tank, and then use Smites to do damage to the primary target. and just heal through atonement. And then every time the shields go off, reapply them. Penance on the tank off cooldown. Right back to channeling smites. I mean, honestly, Disc Priests feel like they're well equipped to be healing tanks, and even off tanks too. I mean, you can have one Disc Priest on your main tank, one on the off tank, boom. Have them both putting penance, one on the main tank, one on the off tank, and then have both their atonements stacked on each tank, and their damage is healing both the tanks at the exact same time. Not to mention they both have Power Word Barrier, they both have Clarity of Will, they both have Power Word Shield, and just bounce back and forth between their tanks. That way they don't roll over the same abilities. So it's really, really nasty, man. It's really, really nasty if you think about it. I just feel like Disc Priest would be really great and awesome at being tank healers in this expansion. Alright, so now let's talk about Divine Star. Divine Star is unique. It does damage and it heals. It's a very short cooldown, but here's my problem with Divine Star. Both the damage and the healing is really minute. Really, really minute. Not to mention the fact that I feel like you go really quick with this. Because, I mean, you're hitting this off cooldown in a 15-second cooldown. It doesn't apply atonement, and the healing's really not there. The damage isn't really there. I mean, unlike Holy, which Divine Star would actually proc Surge of Light, this doesn't really do much for Disc. Now, if it applied atonement, I'd be all for it. I mean, this would be awesome. You can apply atonement to 4, 5, or 6 targets right in front of you, and you could actually move, and the star moves with you, and you can get another 3 or 4 off to the side, left or right, or whatever. I feel like this would be really strong. But the fact that it doesn't apply atonement, the healing's not really there, the damage is not really there, and it is such a short cooldown, so you end up using it off cooldown. You know, you're burning 10% mana every 60 seconds. I just don't feel like this is that strong. But I love Halo. Let's look at this. This bad boy is going to create a ring of holy energy around you. Basically what this is going to do, and it's going to go outward. It's a short cast time. It's really short, really freaking awesome, especially for Disc. If you got atonement spread all over the place, this is going to go out. Okay, it's going to go 30 yards out, and guess what it's going to do? It's going to heal, and it's going to do damage. Alright? Now, but unlike Divine Star, the healing is nice, the damage is even better. I mean, literally, the damage, I mean, read that. I mean, 287% for healing, and then like 430 some odd percent for damage. I mean, this bad boy can hit now, let me tell you. Especially if you took Schism. Dear God, that's some damage, yo. If you got Atonement spread around, remember, every single time you have Atonement applied to a target, your damage is increased by 1%. So, you know, 7 or 8 targets with Atonement. You got Schism. If you take it, if not, it's cool. However you want to play it is up to you. So on and so forth. But I mean, there's different ways you can buff this damage. I mean, you could seriously buff this to, in the neighborhood of about 600 or 700% spell power. Now, what happens when you got an AE spell that's going to hit for that much damage to every target within 30 yards? What do you think is going to happen to your atonement heals? Through the roof. I mean, it's not like it's going to take somebody from 0 to 1,000 or 0 to 100% instantly. But every single one of those 700%, well, 400, let's just talk baseline. Every single one of these 431% damage to one target here, one target here, one target here. Let's say you just hit 3 targets. That's almost 1,300 spell power. What's 40% of that? Well, 40% of 1,300 is roughly about, 500% spell power, 500 to 600, give or take. So now you're talking about having 500, 400% healing through atonement. But guess what? Now, all the targets that are in your 30-yard range that are allies also get healed for this 287%. So you're almost, that was just with 3 enemies in the vicinity. You're talking about having, 5 or 6. Forget about it. This thing's going to hit for atonement's going to heal for 1,000% spell power. This is lovely. I don't think you can get away from Halo. Honest to God. Clarity of Will would be your obvious choice for PvE, but in PvP, this is such a short freaking cast time. It's got, it's got a medium to a long range cooldown. It's less than a minute, but it's still 40 seconds. But I just feel like this. You just save this for that time that you get 7 or 8 horde all piled up on the flag or something, or piled up on the flag carrier. Go in there, you got atonement applied to a bunch of people, and then all of a sudden you hit Halo, and then boom. Well over 1,000% spell power, not only in damage, but in atonement healing. It's either going to be doing 1,000% spell power, or it's going to be getting dang close. Put it that way. So, anyway, you guys can play it however you want, but I feel like Halo is going to be your obvious choice. I've tested this. It's really, really nice. I love this. I mean, you got, and I was just doing it with like 4 or 5 people with atonement. And then you threw up Halo, and then boom, everything got hit for damage, and atonement was healing for like, you know, maybe anywhere between 75 to 100,000, and then the actual heal from Halo was hitting for about half that. So over 100,000 in healing guaranteed, and that was just with 3 or 4 atonements. If you had more than that, and that was also with only about 3 or 4 enemies, you double those, and now you're talking close to the neighborhood about 200, 300,000 heal. And it's a short cast. It's really cheap for the fact that it's a 40-second cooldown. So I love this, love this, love this. I mean, this falls right hand in hand with how Disc is supposed to be played, by doing damage and healing through damage. Alright, so we spent a long time talking about Halo. I just really love Halo. I'm sold on it for Disc. I'm still contemplating whether or not I'm going to play Disc at all on PvP. I really love the playstyle. I love doing damage as a healer. I've always loved doing damage as a healer because, my God, if you're on a 1v1, forget about it. Unless you're fighting a tank, you're killing it. It's going to die. I mean, it may take you a few minutes, but the target will die. But Disc Priest can actually put out some serious deeps, if they use their cooldowns right. And if you take Schism, so on and so forth, you've got atonement on a lot of targets. I know I'm singing the same tune, guys, but I'm just trying to emphasize for you guys just how awesome Disc Priest can be if you play it properly. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of footage, and there's even people on the forums that are griping about this because they're like, man, this just feels really squishy. I'm like, well, yeah, of course they're squishy. They're clothies. They're supposed to be squishy. I mean, Blizzard can't make freaking healers that have like the armor of tanks. You know what I'm saying? You're just going to have to get used to the new playstyle. You're going to have to get used to not having a lot of great deal of mobility. You're going to have to use your fade properly for that 10% damage reduction. Make sure you're using your shields off cooldown. Making sure you're spreading enough atonement everywhere. Making sure you're doing damage, not just healing directly, but make sure you're doing damage. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you get that. You use penances at the right time to kite and get that 30% movement speed increase. Make sure you're using your psychic fears, or making sure you're using your shining force at the right times. Just so on and so forth. Heck, mind control that SOB. If he uses trinket on your fear, mind control him and walk him 20, 30 yards the other direction. I mean, get creative, man. But now I understand if you got 4 or 5 people on you, nobody's going to survive that. No healer can survive that. I mean, unless it's a holy paladin with freaking, divine intervention. But aside from that, nobody's going to survive the way the game currently is with as much burst as there is going around. No healer's going to survive more than 2 people on you. Seriously. If you got 3 people on you and you're a healer, I don't care what class you play. You can be a Resto Druid in bear form and with Guardian Affinity, and you've got Iron Bark and Stone Bark on you at the same time, full of hots, you're still going to die. You're still going to die. Unless, if you got nobody peeling for you, 3 people, you're dead anyway. So, just be patient, guys. They'll look into it. They'll get all this stuff fixed. But for right now, let's get off the podium and let's talk about Purge of the Wicked. Alright, so, Purge of the Wicked is going to replace Shadow Word Pain. It does instant damage. Unlike Shadow Word Pain, where it's just pure, damage over time, this actually does do not a significant amount of damage, but it is a noticeable amount of damage. Just put it that way. I mean, I apply this on targets my own level, and I'm seeing them hit for like 15, 20k. I've seen it even crit for close to 25 or 30k. Now, granted, that was with Schism, so keep that in mind. Schism increases damage by 30%, so 15k, 20k. That's going to be about the average that you're looking at. 30k, 35k if you take Schism. Now, what really is nice about this is the mechanic. If you apply Purge of the Wicked, and then you penance the target, you penance the exact same target you just put Purge of the Wicked on, and there's 4 or 5 targets surrounding him, Purge of the Wicked will actually expand. So you won't have to waste so much time tab targeting or cycling through your targets and say, Shadow Word Pain, 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 Shadow Word Pain. Hey dude, you over in the corner, Shadow Word Pain. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to work like that. You can actually apply 3 or 4 or 5 of these Purge of the Wickeds just instantly. Ain't no problem. So, and also one thing to note too, it's cheaper than Shadow Word Pain in the mana department. Shadow Word Pain is about 0.5% or even a full percent more mana. So the fact that you have to spend so much mana casting this repeatedly over and over and over, Shadow Word Pain that is, and the fact that you only have to apply Purge of the Wicked once and then just penance the target and then whoosh, it'll just spread out. I really think Purge of the Wicked is going to be the overwhelming favorite for a lot of people that are just glancing at these talents. But let me tell you something that I've tested, and we will get to this. Shadow Covenant. This is the one I'm going with, and I'll explain why when we get to it. But let's talk about Grace. Grace is awesome. So Grace is going to increase your non-atonement healing and absorption shields by 30%. It's going to buff your non-atonement heals and absorption effects by 30% with targets with atonement. So this basically means if I put Plea on a target, Plea is right here. And this bad boy is instant, cheap, and its mana cost increases depending on how many targets have atonement. Because I mean, they can't give you basically a free heal that's just going to apply atonement. That'd be overpowered. So it does actually increase its mana cost per target applied with atonement. So if you've got 5 or 6 people, you might want to stop casting Plea. But for those first 4 or 5 targets, yeah, just Plea all over the place. But what's great about this is you Plea first, that way they have atonement, and then you apply a Power Word Shield, and now the shield's going to have 30% more absorbed. And it goes for your heals too. That means penance. If you spec it for healing, it would heal for 30% more on the target. So, I mean, if you want to spec for direct healing, you can do it with Grace. Grace is awesome for that. Love this. They actually give you the option to go old school direct healing with your penances and your pleas, your Power Word Shields, and also and then this also affects Shadow Men. So, yikes! You give the Shadow Men 30% more healing. It's done, bro. It is done. It is done. It is so bloody done. Just remember though, it does apply damage over time effect, so just got to be smart about using Shadow Men with this. Alright? Okay, so this is going to replace your Power Word Radiance. Now, Radiance is a nice ability. It's just got one major flaw. It does apply atonement to 3 targets. There's just one problem. Radiance has an enormous mana cost. It's not like, 100,000 mana or something, but it is way more than Shadow Covenant. And it only heals 3 targets, although it does apply atonement. But like I mentioned in the artifact weapon video, that doesn't really help you a whole awful lot. Because you're in the heat of you're in the heat of battle, most likely targets are already going to have atonement on them anyway. So that kind of negates that portion of Radiance. It costs a lot of mana, doesn't heal for a great amount, and you can get a lot more done through doing damage with atonement for the amount of the mana cost that you're spending. So why use Radiance at all in combat? Whereas in Shadow Covenant, oh buddy, PvPers, listen up, okay? So what happens when you get interrupted these days? If you get a channel, a cast, interrupted, what happens? You're locked out, right? You're locked out of that magic, that school of magic. Does anybody know where I'm going with this? Can anybody kind of pick my brain real quick? I'll give you guys a few seconds to figure it out. First of all, what is Shadow Mend? What school of magic is that from? Sure ain't holy. I'll tell you that right now. No, sir. That is not a holy magic school. And guess what? Neither is Shadow Covenant. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah. These bad boys are shadow schools of magic. So if you're getting trained, especially in arenas, this will be awesome. You get kicked, or you get interrupted. Alright, Shadow Men. Shadow Covenant. Whatever. And remember, if you take Masochism, Shadow Men don't do damage to you, it actually applies a hot, and that hot stacks. So you just Shadow Men all day long. You gonna kick my holy magic? Alright, I'm cool with that. Go ahead. Kick penance. I dare you. I beg you, in fact. Please, kick my penance. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna... Or vice versa. If you want to give up shadow magic, alright, go ahead and just channel Shadow Men real quick. Have them kick that, and then boom. Here comes all your holy magic. All your holy spells. They can't kick them. So, in PvP, this is going to be a really, 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 really nice little ability. little maneuver. Love this. This is a nice little trick that I figured out. Hope you guys enjoyed this description of the talent trees. I went in depth as much as I could. I tested all these. Dominant Mind, again, is going to be your overwhelming PvE favorite across the board. Love this. You got a pet now. It's awesome. Questing is just great. Shadow Covenant and Shadow Men. These bad boys are going to allow you to use 2 different schools of magic to heal with. If you get kicked in one, use the other school. So keep that in mind too. It's just awesome. I think Power Infusion is going to be the way to go, you know, in PvP. Twist of Fate can be the way to go in PvE, or even Contrition, because 2 extra seconds on Atonement is really, really nice. Halo, I feel like in this row, for PvP is going to be the overwhelming favorite, but Clarity of Will, can't get away from that for PvEers. For your main tank, that 200 spell power, or 200,000 damage absorb, that's just nice. I mean, that's baseline. That's with like item level 8, 10. That's on the beta. That's baseline. I mean, when you get closer to like, the closer and closer and closer you get to item level 900, which is the max right now, yeah, that 200,000 absorb is going to be close to like 300,000, maybe even 400,000. Who knows? Who knows what you're going to be capable of? But also keep this in mind too for you PvEers. Shadow Covenant is not really going to be for you. You're going to want to take Grace, because this is going to increase the absorb of Clarity Will by another 30%. And Shadow Word, you know, your Power Word, rather, your Power Word Shield. So you got Power Word Shield and Clarity Will at 30% more on one target. So yeah, can't go wrong with that. That's gonna be a nasty combination. But anyway, that does it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Love you guys. Check this video out and others that I have. I'm covering these as in depth as I possibly can, while at the same time keeping these video times at a relatively short duration. That way you guys can, you know, skip ahead, go through each one tier by tier, video by video. If you're more interested in looking at the actual artifact weapon in depth, or the actual talents in depth, or the honor talents in depth, we're going to get to them. Just be patient with me. I do have a lot of things going on. I'm trying to get ready for school. Classes start on Monday. I'm trying to get all my school supplies ready. I'm trying to get my tuition and everything lined up. I got my military stuff I gotta look at. I've also got accepted in the Honor Society, so I gotta fill out that application, gotta apply to that. I gotta go to some stupid dinner event because I'm an Honor Society, National Honor Society. I don't know what that means. Sometimes I'm like, dude, if y'all met me in person, y'all know I'm not very bright, unless we're talking about World of Warcraft. But you know what? I'll take any recognition I can get for having good grades, because I worked hard for them. So anyway, love you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thumbs up, subscribe, tell your friends, share it on YouTube. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. Tell people in the World of Warcraft about me and about this channel and what it brings, what it offers. We're going to cover every class, every spec. I know Legions is released in less than a week, or no, 2 weeks. I'm going to try as best I can to cover all the healers and tanks before, and that's in depth. And that's artifacts, that's talents, that's honor talents, and rotation, so on and so forth. But I will be honest, when classes start on Monday, the videos are going to be really short. They're going to be vlogs. I'm just going to organize my ideas. I'll probably record it on my phone while I'm driving to school, while I'm sitting in the parking lot or whatever between classes, however I'm going to do it. And then I'll upload these mobilely. That way you guys can actually have, you know, 2 or 3 daily videos, but it's not going to be like organized, in-depth. It's not going to be like this. I'll still put these videos out on the weekends when I can, but I'm just giving you guys a heads up on what to expect. So anyway, again, love you guys. You guys have been awesome in the comment section. Keep the love coming. We're just here. I'm here to help. I'm here to help any way I can. I mean, I'm not rank 1. I don't claim to be rank 1. I'm not. I haven't even done, you know, high-end raid content since freaking Mist. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? But I understand class mechanics. I played this game since vanilla. I understand how all the classes and the specs work. I have a general idea about, especially in PvP. And PvP is where my mind is at. But I mean, you look at the tiers and you played this game long enough, you can be pretty sure what's going to work well in PvE versus what's going to work well in PvP and what's not, vice versa. So anyway, I'm going to just, like I said, thank you guys so much again for the comments and thumbs up and liking videos and sharing them and just getting the word out for my channel. I've gotten almost 100 subscribers in this past 7 or 8 days alone. Thank you guys so much. God, you know, I feel so blessed to be able to do this. I mean, I don't know where this journey is going to take us, but you know what? I'm glad to be here with you guys. Let's keep the channel alive. Let's keep the dream alive, and hopefully Blizzard will hear us on the Hunters and actually hear us out on a couple other classes. We'll talk about that in a later video. Love you guys. Zera